Imagine this. You invent the world's first working time machine. You expect Nobel Prizes, history books, and endless fame. But before you can even test it, some kids figure out first. Suddenly, time travel isn't in the hands of brilliant scientists. It's in the hands of sticky-fingered 8-year-olds with Minecraft obsessions. What could possibly go wrong? So here's our scenario. Time travel exists, but the first people to actually use it aren't responsible adults or government labs. It's kids. Maybe they find it in a garage, maybe they stumble on it at a science fair, or maybe they press the wrong button on a suspicious-looking vending machine. Either way, children now control the most dangerous, powerful invention in human history. And if you've ever watched a kid with an iPad, you already know the timeline is in trouble. The first trips would be hilarious and terrifying. Instead of let's study dinosaurs, the first instinct would be let's ride dinosaurs. Forget paleontology. Suddenly Rex is the world's scariest pet. And kids don't exactly write down coordinates carefully, so you'd end up with random prehistoric creatures popping into modern suburbs like lost puppies. Then comes the visit your own birthday party phase. Imagine every 10-year-old trying to relive their best cake moment, only to create 5 slightly confused versions of themselves standing around the same table. We get paradoxes before homework was even finished. Pretty soon, history itself would look like a kindergarten art project. Famous events would get hijacked. You think the moon landing was dramatic? Imagine astronauts stepping out onto the lunar surface and finding a group of kids already roasting marshmallows over a pile of moon rocks. The Declaration of Independence? Rewritten in crayon. The first Olympics? Replaced by dodgeball. Medieval knights? Suddenly surrounded by Nerf swords and water balloons. History books would make no sense. Teachers would just sigh and say, "Okay, class, today we're learning about the Great Pizza Reign of 1843. Don't ask why." Now, scientifically speaking, paradoxes would explode everywhere. Time travel already messes with cause and effect. Add kids to the mix, and reality would be like a spaghetti plate thrown at the wall. For example, a kid goes back to remind themselves to study for a math test. But if they're past self-studies and gets a good grade, they wouldn't need to go back in the first place. That's called a causal loop. And kids would create millions of these, accidentally cloning themselves, erasing bedtime rules, or making sure broccoli was never invented. Physicists call these situations unstable. With enough paradoxes stacked up, the universe might literally crash like a video game trying to run too many mods. One day the sky's blue, the next it's 16-bit pixel art. Here's the scariest part. Kids don't think about consequences. Adults would time travel to fix global warming or cure diseases. Kids? They'd travel to last Tuesday to eat dessert twice. But those tiny changes add up. Say a kid goes back and tells their great-great-grandma to adopt a dog instead of cat. That dog chases someone, who bumps into someone else, and suddenly, the entire history of pop music never happens. No Elvis, no Beatles, no Beyoncé. All because Timmy wanted to pet a puppy. In other words, if kids use time travel first, human civilization as we know it wouldn't collapse instantly. It would just morph into something unrecognizable. A Frankenstein's monster of timelines where dinosaurs deliver pizza, Shakespeare writes comic books, and Wi-Fi has been around since the 1400s. So what if time travel was invented and kids used it first? We'd probably survive, but our world would look like the scribbles in a third grader's notebook come to life. Funny, chaotic, and barely holding together. And maybe that's the lesson. Time travel isn't dangerous because of science. It's dangerous because humans, especially little humans, can't resist messing with things. The real question isn't if kids would change history. It's whether adults would even notice the difference. So, what would you do if you got the time machine first? Ride AT, Rex? Stop yourself from eating that mystery cafeteria lunch? Or go back to make sure TikTok was never invented? Tell me in the comments. I'm dying to see how weird the timeline gets. And hey, if you enjoyed this trip through chaos, hit that like button, subscribe for more science-filled what-ifs, and remember, never leave your time machine unattended at a birthday party.